Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow. Okay, has it really been 10 years? I have to just take a second here to just my mind is actually blown that this time has come. 10 years ago, if you would have told me I was still on the same path, making spirit science, making these cartoons, and all this stuff, I don't know what I would have, like, I'd probably be like, well, I mean, maybe it's possible. But this is kind of crazy. And I had to just pop in a live stream today for our content today. You know, normally on Mondays we post a new Spirit Science episode, and I thought today was a really special day to be able to pop in and talk about spirit science, you know, and just be very real and authentic and open and connected with you. So technically yesterday was the 10-year anniversary. The first episode of Spirit Science aired April 11th, 2011 on YouTube and Newgrounds, as well as DeviantArt and SheezyArt, and I think the latter two are the only places where the original upload still exists, because the Newgrounds and the YouTube episodes were taken down either due to copyright or because I switched the channel from Spirit Science was originally posted on my personal channel instead of a dedicated Spirit Science platform, and so in 2012 I moved everything over. Which is why I think Chakras 2 was the first thing that was uploaded, because we had a new version of episode 1, but I digress. That's besides the point. You know, I wanted to, so as a part of this celebratory energy and kind of popping in here today, I wanted to actually share a little bit about the story of Spirit Science and of Patchman, because a lot of people have asked, and the truth is like, the story is out there. It really is. Like, you can find it. I talk about it. I'm very open about it. Sometimes it's on interviews and stuff like that, but I've never made well, I do have an origin of Spirit Science video, actually, so that is on this channel, but I also haven't shared the story of Patchman so openly about it, and I want to clear things up because sometimes people get it confused. So where Patchman came from, true story, if we go back to around, like, when I was 12 years old, I first started making cartoons. I started making cartoons on the side of a flip book. It was a dictionary. So, you know, like one of those little flip books on the side of a dictionary when I was, you know, in grade 6. And I just found myself completely overwhelmed with just like this passionate drive to make cartoons, and of course at first it was like stick figures fighting, going Super Saiyan, blasting energy waves, little aliens would come down on this from the top of the dictionary. And it was just like a really fun time. And when I was 13, I discovered a animation software on a computer called Macromedia Flash. And so I started making cartoons from the age of, like digital online cartoons from the age of 13. And I think this was actually before YouTube was even invented. This was like 2002, roughly, and then around there, 2002, 2003. I think YouTube came out in 2004, 2005. So most of the content that I made was uploaded onto Newgrounds, and a lot of that old stuff is still there. And some of it's really wacky, and some of it's really fun. Actually, I had my first big hit when I was 14 with a cartoon series called Kingdom Hearts Chronicles. It was like a parody of the Kingdom Hearts games. Even today, every once in a while, people from Newgrounds will pop over onto Spirit Science and be like, yo, are you going to make a sequel to Kingdom Hearts Chronicles? And the truth is we actually, like, no, but also we're going to do a remaster just for nostalgia's sake, and it'll probably go on my personal channel. So anyways, along that journey, when I was making these cartoons between, you know, 13 and 17, about halfway in there, I was probably 15 at the time, I made a friend online who, I'll just keep his name anonymous, you know, for the sake of his privacy and respect, but I don't know if he'd mind if I mentioned his name. But either way, he was really inspired by the videos that I was making and really wanted to make his own. And so he created all these little characters and different things. He had this one character who had like those like old school 3D glasses with the blue and the red. And he made this little blue guy with a square head and like all these patches. And he was completely covered in patches, and he called him Patchman. And so shortly after making all these characters, his own path and life journey, like he was about the same age as me, so he's 14, 15. His path kind of took him in another direction, and we stayed friends for many years, but he kind of stopped doing anything with animation and didn't do anything with those characters. And when I was just around in college, I guess, like 18 years old, I reached out to him because I had this idea for a short film featuring Patchman, where it was like, it was this idea of like it was a short video. This little character gets salt in his eyes and then runs around his house in a frantic mess trying to solve it and just making things worse and worse and worse and worse. And then at the very end, he like pokes himself in the eye with the toothpick by accident and then is like screaming, and then it pauses and it goes, "There's a Visine for that." And it was just like the stupidest thing, but it was a short film that I was really excited about with my weird silly mind, and I thought Patchman was the perfect character. So I reached out to him and I was like, "Hey dude, I have this hilarious idea. I think it's really funny. Can I animate a story with that?" And he was like, "Can I animate this thing with Patchman?" And he was like, "Sure, I don't care, that's fine." And so I made this cartoon. And then several months later, I had another idea for another short film, and pretty much reached out again. I was like, I just want to keep using Patchman. And after like 2 or 3 videos of using Patchman in these short cartoons, he was just like, "Look, just give me $100 and Patchman is yours." And I'm like, "Yeah, and then you don't have to ever ask me about it again. It's just like, we'll just make it really easy." And of course, we're like 17, 18 years old at the time. And so I was like, it makes perfect sense. I ended up animating 4 videos with Patchman total before I had my spiritual awakening. And then when I did, it was as if all of these different things all came together and were ready for me. Like my animation skill, the character, my inspiration, all of the material that I was, like just that I was learning, Drunvalo, Melchizedek, Flower of Life, the chakras, the Merkaba, the light body, like all of these like ancient human history movie, all of these things just came together and moved through me into a synchronized thing, and Spirit Science was born. In fact, Spirit Science, the name itself, I would say was divinely inspired. In fact, I don't like to personally take credit, even though it's all moving through me, or at least when it started, it was all moving through me. Spirit Science was more than just something that like I invented. I feel as though Spirit or God or Source, whatever you want to call it, kind of coalesced all of these ingredients through me in my life to be able to deliver this information and create this platform, really. And Spirit Science became a platform for the evolution of consciousness. And then we were off to the races. But I guess just going back a little bit here, part of my spiritual awakening happened. People ask me this all the time, and I do have a video called The Origins of Spirit Science, which is here on this channel if you want to watch it. Well, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, just go to YouTube and look up The Origins of Spirit Science. But but it was really this like crescendo of like I went through waves of being like super atheist through college and being like very fed up with just religions, and also I was finding politics to be really stupid, and just realizing that things in the world were kind of like more broken than I was led to believe over the course of my life. And I was a huge fan of Bill Maher for a while, because his movie Religulous was just like illustrating just so like, wow, like the religions of the world are so messed up. Granted, that was kind of a parody movie, and he did a lot of strange editing in that to make it funnier than I think the actual interviews that he did were. But it was still very impactful for me at the time, and I became kind of jaded to the world. And then everything flipped on its head, and I started learning. I met someone who introduced me to energy, to Reiki, to the law of attraction, to The Secret, to crystals. And suddenly it just was like reality opened out before me, and suddenly I had this new perspective on everything. Through a synchronicity, because I was learning this stuff, it turns out my mom was like secretly spiritual her whole life and never told me. And she dropped The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life on my lap one afternoon, and I read the first page and was instantly sold. It was just like, what is this, and why didn't you share it with me before? And she was like, you were meant to find it when you were meant to find it. And now is the time. Actually, she said that she shared it with me before, and I didn't even look at it. So that's probably true, actually. I probably just wasn't ready for it. But either way, I poured myself through the Flower of Life books for about 3 or 4 months straight, and really just got so much out of it. In fact, it got to the point, like I read them through, both volumes, a few times, and then it got to the point where I would just open it up and read randomly anything. And that was my nightly practice. I would probably spend an hour or two just opening up the book and just reading a couple of pages and then closing it and thinking about what I'd read, and then do that again on different, like, it was such a powerful book. And I started to have this feeling, this belief that was like, if everyone knew this, if this information was commonplace, if this was made available, like, I've never heard about this stuff, and I don't know anybody who has, but maybe that's just me. But if everyone knew this stuff, I feel like the world would change overnight. If we understood that everything is connected and everything is all an interwoven thought in the mind of God, and we're all a part of this multidimensional reality matrix. We're all creating our reality together as a big species, and that all of our beliefs about how separate we are just illusions of disconnect, and we're so much more interconnected than we believe. If everyone knew this, the world would change overnight. And so it just was like the inspiration to make this thing just happened all at once. And of course, I've actually mentioned this as well. Some people often ask if I've stolen this or something like this. And I'm very open about some of my earliest inspirations for spirit science. One of the biggest ones came from a series on YouTube called Extra Credits, which is a series about how video games are an evolving art medium. And it was just such a powerful, beautiful series. Now, that series has changed a lot since. If you watch its latest stuff, like, I think the owners have moved on, the original creators have moved on. It's owned by someone else, voiced by someone else. It doesn't have that same magic anymore, at least not, I don't necessarily find the same connection with it. But if you go back to that original content with James Portnow, I think it's pronounced, and Dan, and the artist, what was her name? Shoot, I forget her name, but bless her heart, she's an amazing artist. They did such a good job of condensing all of this just philosophical information that was really appealing about video games. But it was like about video games and how we think and feel and exist in relationship to it and out in society, and using games and like the model of gamification to evolve society and culture and art was such an amazing series. And so that kind of was also a blueprint, like a template, mixed with My Spiritual Awakening and Drumvolo and the Flower of Life and Patchman and all of these things to come together and create a similar series called Spirit Science. And it was something that I could do on my own, which was also very exciting, because I had been a full-on frame-by-frame animator for years and years, and studying and practicing frame-by-frame animation. And for those of you who don't know, it takes a lot of time to do frame-by-frame animation. Like, that is where you're drawing 24 or at least 12 drawings every second of animation. And if you're doing a 10-minute video, you can imagine how many thousands of drawings that is. It actually is crazy. So one of my projects called Exile was like a 10-minute long video. I did 4 parts between the ages of 14 or 15 and like 18, and I was able to get 4 episodes done. And it took me about a year to do each one, and it was a full animated thing. I was so stupid for doing such an undertaking of that caliber. It was way too big for what the scope of what I was capable of. But it was very ambitious, and it taught me a lot over the course of those years about animation. But Spirit Science was something that was different. It was like here's a script, here's a speech that's like 10 minutes long, and put it into a short, condensed slideshow-like format with a couple of drawings and some stock pictures or some stuff from Google mixed in, and it was feasible. And so I ended up right around this time, 10 years ago, I found myself, I was just finishing college, and I was pouring myself week after week into these videos. And I ended up, I mean, I don't want to say I hurt myself, because I had the energy and the drive for it. But it was like a nonstop thing. Like it was, I would, Mondays and Tuesdays, Mondays I was working on the script and recording it. Tuesdays I was going into the drawing and just building the full video. By the time that Saturday, Sunday roll around, the video would be done. I'd have it uploaded on Monday. And during my little, between Friday and Sunday, as I was finishing the video, I was also getting the script ready for the next week. And then I was going into that. And I did those first 12 episodes, which includes 5 parts of the original Human History movie. So 17 episodes. 16 if we don't count because it's one. I don't know. Yeah, it'd be 16 episodes, 1 week at a time for about 3.5, 4 months straight. And that was crazy, but that was what was needed in those early parts of the those early parts of spirit science, those early days of spirit science, was the very beginning of, it was that Kamehameha explosion of an energy blast onto the internet, of solidifying and establishing the spirit science as a thing. Because I think that if I had just done one episode and was like, all right, I'll come back to it later, like if I didn't keep that ball rolling, I don't know if that ball would have kept rolling. I had to see it through. And then once that was done, spirit science blew up really quickly. And actually I have to thank Tom Fulp for this. Most people don't know this, but because spirit science was originally published on Newgrounds and YouTube, my YouTube audience, my YouTube channel originally was like, zero level of followers and subscribers. It was, I had just a couple of, college projects, a couple of animations that I did, and it was, you can probably find it. I think it's called Jordan D Toons, this old channel. I have this old video called Saw in 3 minutes where I break down the entire Saw franchise in 3 minutes, and somehow that accumulated 16,000 views. And I have no idea when and how that happened. But yeah, I broke down that whole plot in like 3 minutes, and it was like a funny, goofy little video that I made. You can see my like acne-ridden face, like my college version of me. So, but like when I was publishing on Newgrounds, Tom Fulp, he front-paged Spirit Science 5 and Spirit Science 6, which were like, that's basically giving it a big feature on the front page of the Spirit Science, front page of the Newgrounds website, and that brought in so many views all at once, and people were watching episode 5, episode 6, and right on the front of the video there was a link that said watch in HD on YouTube. And so a lot of people came over to YouTube because of that Newgrounds, that feature. And that was the start of like the wave that I think really like got the ball rolling. Like so many initial people watching Spirit Science at the very beginning were all of like friends on Newgrounds and stuff like that. And I say friends because the vibe of Newgrounds for so long was just like this, like it was like a tight-knit community of creators and teenagers watching the videos. Like it wasn't necessarily the most untoxic community, but it was also fun, and it was also like a family. It felt like this, teenager family that we had. That was really cool back in those days. But shortly after that, by the time episode 12 rolled around, and then Spirit Science moved on later on with 13 and moving forward, YouTube was pretty much the platform. And then everything just kind of went off from there. And, moving from that initial wave and moving then into the future, the last 10 years has been like this up and down roller coaster of like just highs and lows, like really amazing, transformative, powerful, beautiful experiences and amazing friendships, and like moments of like WTF, OMG, like crazy things happening. I learned so much. I've learned so much, and I've made so many mistakes, and I've done so, like, I've just, like connecting with people that were kind of wacky, and also connecting with people who were really amazing. And learning things sometimes that were really valuable, and then other times learning things that were just like taking me off of my path and moving me in the direction of, maybe less, like wasted time, wasted effort. There's definitely, especially in the last few years, I had these feelings of like, man, those first like 5-6 years, I feel like if I could do it over again, I could be so much more focused and so much more balanced and so much more harmonious with my own energy, because there was so much coming at me and so much I didn't know about the world and how things worked that, made a lot of mistakes, as so many of us do in our 20s, that it's just probably a natural thing that happened. But that doesn't change the fact that I've still had those feelings of like, man, there's a lot of lessons. And yet where all of it ended up leading to is this crescendo of transformation that really happened in the last 3 years. The last 3 years especially have been just so jam-packed with learning and healing and growth. And I have so much, I really want to thank Rhythmia for a lot of the growth and the changes that have happened in the last few years, because they invited me to come and be a guest speaker there at the very beginning of 2018. And between 2018 and now, I've been there actually 10 times. Actually, my 10th trip is going to be this coming weekend. Yeah, I'm going to be arriving there this coming Sunday for my next trip to Rhythmia. It'll be my 10th time being there. And so also just as a shout out too, in case anybody has any, last minute plans, they want to just make a trip to Rhythmia and come and drink ayahuasca with me next week, definitely consider coming. And otherwise the next trip is in September. But the thing is that from going to Rhythmia and having this experience over and over of merging with my soul and seeing who I've become and healing my heart and going through that process and purging so much of the craziness that happened in those first, 6-7 years, and so much healing and understanding of how and why those experiences were necessary, it ultimately led to the most beautiful transformation. And I think this is like the reason that I can be here with you today and sharing all of this and having this experience that we're having, like, and spirit science existing the way that it is made possible because of the medicine and because of Rhythmia. I have no doubt that even without Rhythmia, I'd still be here, but I don't think my energy would be as it is right now. And so I'm really, really grateful, because it's through Rhythmia that I've had the opportunity to meet Thoth very directly, get some profound wisdom. He led me to make a mystery school, and also to get to the point where we're now capable of publishing content on YouTube and on social media on a weekly basis, even a daily basis, which was never really possible before. The original model was I do everything, right? As I mentioned, when Spirit Science started, it was like I make the things and the stuff and the recording and the editing and the voice acting and the animating and putting everything out there in one big fell swoop of a go, and that took all of my time. I understand the languaging that I'm using is kind of all over the place for that. One fell swoop of a go. Sorry, it's an exciting time. There's magic in the air. But the truth is those experiences, like the Rhythmia experiences, have led to now spirit science being different, being operated by such a big and beautiful team. In fact, you had the opportunity to meet Amy a little bit in our last live stream that I did a week and a half ago. But it's more than just her. There's probably a good 15, maybe close to 20 people on Team Spirit, and that's what we call ourselves, Team Spirit, inside of Spirit Studios. And they are some of the most amazing people that I've ever had the opportunity of meeting and connecting with in my life. I am so eternally grateful for this just powerful, beautiful team who are just showing up and doing amazing things. And actually, like, this is a fun thing. As a part of the studio, I have 3 rules, and I want to encourage, if you're an entrepreneur, or if you're if you have people that you're like hiring, or you have people on a team with you, my 3 rules for my team are as follows: that everyone loves what they do, everyone is making amazing things, and everyone feels very well taken care of. And these three things are the 3 foundational rules for Spirit Studios. And I think that environment creates such a playground of creativity that we're able to make this just really, really fun content for you guys to enjoy on a weekly basis, and both on YouTube as well as inside of our mystery school, inside of Spirit Mysteries, where we do regular workshops and community gatherings and events and all kinds of stuff like that. And so I have to give mad shout outs and props to in this moment. I want to shout out the content team, specifically Ariel, Nicola, Nelson, and all of the other content. We had a few other people who were with us last year who are not with us anymore, but this team, Zach as well, who our main editor, have created, and our writer who wishes to be remained nameless for the time. But our team allows for all of this content to, like, all of this new Spirit Science episodes to be made. And honestly, I have to really humble myself and say, holy crap, you guys can do it so much better than I possibly can. Like, to be completely straight. And this was a hard thing for me to let go of, because I had that a bit of like the I do everything vibe, and I had to let go of that. And then in the process of letting go of that, like, if you've seen the art of Spirit Science and how Patchman is drawn and how everything feels over the last couple of months, Patchman has really shifted. And it's because of this amazing team coming in, being like, when someone is a dedicated artist doing consistent, that same job all the time, they're not doing what I used to do, which is being so scattered between so many different things. They're just focusing on drawing, and so they can draw 1,000 times better than I could. And so Patchman looks so much better than I ever could draw him before. And it's really because of like Ariel's magic and Nicola and Nelson's magic and Zach's beautiful editing. And even the scripts for Spirit Science are becoming so much more just clean, I would say, thanks to our writer and his amazing work. And this is going to continue to grow, for the record, because I don't want to stop here. The goal with Spirit Science and Spirit Studios is to become like the Pixar of spirituality. Although, to be fair, Pixar is kind of becoming the Pixar of spirituality, and maybe always was, because I don't know if you've seen Soul, but they definitely invited the whole world watching to open their crown chakra in the middle of that movie, which is pretty cool. But I definitely want to see our team, growing to the scale that we can animate, imagine the Hermetica. I don't know if you've read the Hermetica. I have it behind me, but I don't know if I necessarily need to hold it up. The ancient Greek writings from Hermes Trismegistus. I would love to see a full-length animated Hermetica, maybe as like a Netflix series inspired by Airbender, like with that style, or done to the level of like a movie that could even go into theaters one day. Like, that is part of the dream, part of the goal. And not just the Hermetica, but like stories that we write and other powerful and amazing, beautiful stories told in a really big way. This is part of the vision of Spirit Studios, where we're going. And I won't stop until we get there. And even then, I'm still not going to stop, because the sky's the limit. There's like so many amazing and fun things that we can do when we come from a place of creativity and fun and freedom and playfulness. And I think that that's an energy that the world really needs in the world, right? World needs in the world. World needs regardless. In the world, outside of the world. We need it on Mars too. So Elon, when you set up when you set up Mars as a thing, we'll build a Spirit Studio there too. But in addition to that, as it relates with our other platform, which is the Mystery School, this is a space, it really is a platform for the evolution of consciousness. It is a space for a whole community to gather together, to grow, to learn, to evolve, to share in workshops and courses and stories and materials and events. And actually, speaking of which, yesterday this is the reason I didn't do this live stream yesterday, was that yesterday we did a full day, like a 8-hour long spirit renewal experience. We did 4 massive workshops throughout the day, as well as a special lunch event, and then a few other fun events with like breakout rooms and stuff that happened, and people just loved it. It was so awesome to see so many people engaging and attending. And hey, if you were there, if you're watching this and you were at that event, please put it in the chat how that experience was. Like, how did you like it? And I'm seeing a couple things roll in already. That's awesome. Even to that point, I wanna say that if you have an interest in watching the recordings, they are currently being edited, but the whole event is available with the VIP access, and the link is right here in the description. If you're watching on Facebook, it's probably above. But there is a link to go and get that for a VIP access to watch the whole thing. And over just the next few days, the different sections of the video of the whole event are going to be uploaded, because they're just being edited right now. But you'll get full instant access to all of that and so much more inside of the Mystery School. So I just wanted to like let you know that even though the event is over, that doesn't mean that you can't watch it and come and join in the magic of the Spirit Renewal experience. Because as far as I'm aware, everyone who attended, from what all of the comments were saying, was that it was just such a powerful and amazing experience, and really a spiritual renewal, transformative, place for everyone. And the vibe was so cool. It was really, really cool. And so I want to also speak to, as far as the school goes, as far as the mystery school goes, part of the goal is also to build a spirit center, like to actually build a physical location. Ideally, I'd love to build a pyramid of some kind, just to show what we can do, And if you've seen our episode about pyramid power is real, then you'll know exactly what the energy is behind that. But building a space that can be a community center, a healing center, a place for sacred ceremony, a place for healthy food to be grown. So thus it would also be a juice bar and a restaurant, because why not? But maybe a place for our studio to be like all kind of together in like a community that is just, like a concentrated energy of like for the transformation of all of humanity, a concentrated something that we can actually build and create in the world that really just demonstrates the power of the human spirit. And that's part of the whole mission and the vision and what we're trying to create here. And well, that'll just be awesome. Just stay tuned. That's part of our 3 and 10 year plan, I guess, as a spirit studio. So that's a thing. And if that's something that you want to be a part of and you want to help us and work toward it all together with us, please consider watching the Spirit Renewal experience, because we'll talk more about it in there, or just join the mystery school. So from there, where do we go from here? I would love to hear, I guess as a finale for this live stream, I want to hear from you guys. Like, how has your experience with Spirit Science been over the last 10 years? I mean, when did you come in? How long have you been watching Spirit Science for? What does Spirit Science mean to you? If you can put it in a sentence, put that in the chat. Please just like blow up the chat with it. I'd love to see it. And I think a lot of people, it would be very valuable to share from everyone's different points of view. Like, what has it done for you over the years? Because I think that this is something that often I even not forget, but it's something that a lot of people have expressed the impact that it's had on them. And sometimes it's just so much for me to take in all by myself that I'm kind of like, whoa, this is too much, right? And I'll just go back on with whatever work that I'm doing. But I recognize too that it's not just for me, that for our whole team and for the whole audience. Like, the more that we're aware of each other in this whole mix, the more closer that we bring our hearts, the more magic we can bring into the world when we're all vibing and resonating together. And so I'm just seeing all of these comments roll in, and I'm so grateful to see everything that's just like all of this. Wow. Wow. Well, thank you. I mean, and look, I mean, of course, for anyone watching the live stream, the replay or anything, like, you can just look at the chat and you can kind of follow along with it. There's so much pouring in, and I'm really grateful. Thank you. Thank you. So with that, I think I'm going to bring this live stream to a close. And, I guess, where should I go in the ending here? There's so much that I want to say, and then all tries to come out at once, and then there's just nothing. One of the biggest things that I've learned over these last 10 years is that anything really is possible. That we are creators made in the image of an all creative force or mind or spirit or source, whatever word you want to use to call it. If you want to say God, that's beautiful. But we are creators, and we have so much ability to create amazing change in the world. And right now, especially in this like antisocial, super quarantine world, we need the magic of our souls to shine bright more than ever right now. And I have so much faith in us as a species to not just get through this, but actually to ride this wave into a crescendo. And my goal, part of my goal, is to help create education on what it looks like to actually ride the wave of life instead of being tossed around by these waves. Because, you know, like quarantine, pandemic, and crazy things that are happening in the world. Like, there's so many people talking about how bad everything is and how intense everything is and how upsetting everything is. In fact, I love Julie Nolke. If you're watching, I don't know if you ever would see this, and all of your videos are so funny. But also the you know, explaining the pandemic to my past self that you just posted the other day. Hilarious video, and yet at the same time, I'm watching it being like, yeah, it's coming from this paradigm of how, man, like, this sucks, and then this sucks, and then this sucks, and then this sucks, and everything is just so overwhelming, and it's like, well, yeah, if we're operating, and I know it's a reflection of where so many people are at, and I have so much compassion for where everyone is at, and yet at the same time, if we can just center ourselves in our heart and like really activate our heart energy field, and I know that maybe sounds very like new agey, but the truth is our heart is 10 times more electrically and 100 times more something like that, electrically and magnetically stronger than the brain field. Like, the energy field of the heart is so much stronger. And if we actually breathe into our heart and breathe into our personal energy field and expand into this greater sense of self, we can become so much more balanced that when other things happen in the world that might overwhelm us, because our field is so strong, we're riding the waves of life instead of being tossed about by them. And then these crazy things that are happening in the world become opportunities to create solutions for all of us to make things better. It really, it opens the door. Like, self-empowerment opens the door for all of whatever's going on to become a catalyst for our growth and our collective healing and transformation. So as much as it's easy to go, everything is so crazy and everything's so overwhelming, it doesn't have to be if we're willing to step into a greater version of ourselves where we are empowered to do something about it. And so that's pretty much all I have to say. And if you want to learn more about that, again, please go and check out the one-day renewal experience, the spirit renewal experience. It really left everyone just feeling so vibrating and glowing and beautiful afterwards. And that's something that I want to share that vibe with everybody. I want everyone to feel empowered to create solutions to the problems that we're facing instead of just being toppled about by all of the energies of everything that's happening, because this really can be a whole new beginning for everyone if we make it be so. Yeah. So thank you to everyone watching. Thank you for everyone in the comments. Thank you for all of this. I mean, there's so many different crazy comments, people talking about all kinds of stuff now happening. And, you know, just bless your hearts. Bless you. Thank you for 10 years of spirit science. And here's to 10 more. 10 years later, I hope to be delivering this live stream, like a 20-year anniversary live stream. Maybe I'll have a bigger beard. Maybe I'll shave it off for that one. Because this doesn't, I don't know, this doesn't really count as a beard. This is like, yeah. But 10 years from now, hopefully I can give this live stream from a spirit center pyramid somewhere in the world. So here's to another amazing 10 years. Bless your hearts eternally forever. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll see you again soon for more magic. Toodles. Oh, wait a second. Here we go. Ending. The ending video is gone. Okay, well, I don't have an ending, so I'm just gonna